So the first thing that we are going to do is to add the Bootstrap navbar. And to do this, we want to go to the Bootstrap website and scroll down to this section where the navbar only has simple text. And for this, we're going to copy the HTML code here, then paste it into our headers.html file. So I was on base of the HTML, and you want to go to headers.html, which is in your themes, clarity, II, layouts, header.html. So if you save this right now, then you will notice that your localhost website has a navbar now. But the thing is, we want to make a few changes so that it would populate the menu entry dynamically rather than hard coding it right now. And we also want to change the style of this navbar. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code. First thing we're going to change is to make this to be an XL. Instead of the background to be light, we want to make this background to be dark. Also, we want to add the theme navbar dark. Also, make the container fluid to be just container. If you save as you go, you'll notice that your web page is changing the style on the navbar. Next thing that we're going to do is to use Hugo template language to dynamically populate the menu entries. And currently, this is the list of menus that we have, which is hard-coded. To do this dynamically, we'll use the Hugo template language. So first, let's declare a variable called current page. Set this to be the current context. And what this dot means, it has access to different global variables that we will need to use in order to get the correct functionality. Next, we'll use the range function. We'll use the range function to loop through the main menu that we're going to define in our config.yaml file. Now in between the range, we want to just copy one of the list. In there. So this way, this range function is going to generate different this range function is going to generate number of lists based on our configuration file. And we want to change the name of the list to be the name that we're going to define in the config.yaml file. And also the href to be .url, which is going to be defined in the config file as well. I think that should be it. Last thing is we're going to delete the rest of the list that we're no longer going to use. So if you save this and go back to your web browser, you'll notice that there's nothing on the navbar other than the logo. The reason for this is because we haven't defined our menu in the configuration file yet. So let's go to config.yaml and let's define our menu. Under menu, you have your main menu. And under your main menu, you're going to have the entries for your menu. In this case, I will have home and about. And then the third menu is going to be just GitHub, which will redirect us to the GitHub page. Now, if you save this file right now and go back to your website, you'll notice that the menu entries appeared, but the order is wrong. To change the order, you want to use the weight parameter. So to do this, you would include weight, and then you will give it a number. In this case, I will give about to be a number of 20, and then GitHub to be a weight of 90. To change the order of the menu, you use the weight parameter, and it's always in a ascending order. So if you want the home page to be in the very front, then you want to make sure that this number here is smaller than the rest. So in this case, home page is going to go first, and then about is going to be the next one. GitHub is going to be the last entry on the menu. If you save this file and go back to your web browser again, you'll notice that the order changed. As you can see, when we clicked on the home page and about page, it doesn't really do anything. And also if we click on GitHub, it doesn't do anything either. To link them to an actual page, we want to use the parameter pageref so that the home page is going to be linked to a slash representing the home page. Now the about page is going to be pageref of /about. And the GitHub page is going to be, instead of pageref, this is going to be a URL. And the URL is going to be the GitHub URL. Okay, now if you save this and go back to the web browser, then you should see that your GitHub menu is actually redirecting you to the GitHub page. But the home and the about page is still not functioning. And that is because we need to add an about page. I take it back, your home page is working, but then the about page is not working. It's because we need to add a about page, which we're going to do this right now. Okay, to set up the about page, you want to first go to the command line and type in Hugo new content about.md. This is going to create a about.md file under our content directory. And as you can see, in our MD file, we have title, date, and draft. So in this case, we'll delete the draft. And instead, we'll add a new parameter called layout, and we'll call this about. So with this parameter, we are telling Hugo where to find our layout. In this case, layout for the about page is going to live under your theme, clarity II, layouts, and you want to create a new folder here called page. And then within this page directory, you want to create a new file called about.html. So by default, when you create an about.md or just any markdown file, and if you specify the layout name, which is about, then Hugo is going to automatically look for an about.html page in the folder called page. So this is by default. And if you want to look up more information on why this is the case, definitely check out the Hugo document on Hugo lookup order. So for example, if you want to change the name of the directory to something else, for example, if I just change this directory to say, for example, cats, then what you want to do, in this case, if you want to change the type parameter in markdown file to also be cats. So in this case, what this is telling the markdown file to do is in the folder called cats, you're looking for the about.html file. So I'm going to change this back to page. Okay, once you have the about.html file created, open that up. And within this HTML file, we can define our man. Within this man block, this is where the content of the about page is going to be displayed. In this case, I'm going to display the title. And also I'm going to display the content. So the .title and .content is the Hugo global variable where we're pulling the title from the about.md page, as you see here. And then the content is going to be the actual content of this page. So for the content I'm going to write, this is the about.md. So now we have this created. If you save and run your Hugo server again, as you can see, now we can switch between the home page, about page, and the GitHub page. Next, we're going to change some of the style, the navbar, by using our local CSS file. So let's switch over to the VS Code. Create a CSS file in your static folder. So right here in the static, right under CSS, you want to create a new file called man.css. And this is where our local CSS is going to exist. Okay, once you create the CSS file, you want to make sure to include it in your head.html. So let's do that right now before we forget. So we'll include this in here. So once this is included, then we can start writing our CSS file. Okay, so first thing, let's create a new font that we're going to use for this website. And the font that I am using is this one. Since it's not in the default fonts, what I had to do is I had to Google it up and then download it and move it to the fonts folder in our themes directory. So if you don't have this font as well, you can go to the website. I will show you guys which website that I downloaded it. You can search up Metropolis font, and in this website, I downloaded the regular OTF file. So if you don't have a fonts folder created already under your themes, then you want to make sure you created this font here. And then you want to drag the downloaded font into this fonts folder. Okay. After that, your body tag, we want to set the font family to be the one we just created. And then the font size to be 1.1 rem. Line height to be 1.5. Font kerning to be normal. So I'm going to make a comment. I'm going to write a comment here to indicate that anything below this is going to be the Bootstrap style. First thing that we're going to change is the navbar color. And we'll change the background color to be this color here. Make sure you save this file as you make changes so that you can see the style changes in your navbar. So that the next thing is the nav link. We want to make that to be the color white. And after that, we'll change the active class to have a background color and a border. Lastly, we'll change the nav item to have some padding around it so that each entry will be spaced. Each entry will have a little bit more padding around them. Okay, if you save this file and go back to your web browser. Okay, so as you can see in the menu bar, all the menu items has a border and a background to it. And this is because within within our headers.html, we need to indicate when we want to have the list item to have the active class. So to do this, we'll use a if and else statement to do the logic. So what you want to do is you want to use the same thing, the Hugo template language, and you would type if our current page dot is menu current man, and then you want to pass in the current context, and then we want to show active. And then you want to end this if statement here. Else, then we would just want to show the navlink class only. So if you save this and go back to a web browser, then as you can see, when we're on the about page, the active class is giving it a background. If you go to the home page, active class is giving the home page the background. So there you go. This is how we changed our navigation bar to look like the one in the Clarity theme. In the next video, I'll be using Hugo's pagination system and Bootstrap's cards to display posts in my homepage.